trying to tell me something about picking that song just before I came in.
You'll never know, will you, Jerry? You'll never know.
Yeah, in case you didn't know. In case you didn't recognize that other voice, someone snuck into the studio this morning. John Dvorak, the manager of the Rice County Fair, for our fair talk. I was a little upset at you last month.
Last month?
Yeah, I was gone somewhere. Anyway, Gordy hosted the program. I didn't get to talk to you.
Well, you know.
I thought we were buddies.
Well, we are, but every once in a while, you have to
change
it up and spread it around, and But I think people understood. Maybe they were glad. I don't know.
Yeah, but boy, the fair's going to be here before you know it. Farm and Power Show was this week. All at once, we're into spring, and the next thing you know, I'm busy in the field, and all at once, it's time for the Rice County Fair.
Dad, you probably hit that right on the head. It's coming here quick. I know there's snow still on the ground, and before you know it, it'll be off the ground, and spring will be here, and the fair will follow right behind that. So I don't know. It just seemed like when I was a young kid that fair was so far away every year, and to get older, I don't know. It just seems like it gets closer and closer.
Maybe there's a little more planning and work involved in managing the fair over getting some projects or some critters ready to show at the fair. They did have 4-H back when you were young, right?
They did.
Oh,
they
okay.
did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's a sign that I'm getting old.
But boy, as soon as the weather does start getting a little bit nicer, well, the crew will be out there starting to get things spruced up.
That's right. We got another month or two to go, I'm sure, before April 28th is when all of our storage comes out of our buildings, and the buildings will be empty, and pretty much after that, May's here, and we'll start looking at all the buildings and what do we need to fix here and what needs to be painted, and it just starts over again, and keep going and making the improvements. And I'm glad that we are able to make these improvements like we are. It just preserves our buildings that much easier, and we get on to projects before they really get bad, and that helps. And so I think the Fair Board is keeping a pretty good hand on the grounds and the buildings and keeping them in good shape.
And we should put a plug in too for the Rice County Commissioners, because they do help a little bit with maintenance of some of those buildings. And I'm going to put you on the spot. How many buildings are there out there? There's a lot when you stop and think about it.
When you stop and think about it, yeah, it's not just the barns, but you do have the concession stands that are permanent stands. The DNR building and the Historical Society has some buildings there.
The exhibit building.
Buildings and the 4-H buildings.
And hopefully there's not a lot of maintenance that needs to be done yet on the Gillen building.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
That's what, 3 or 4 years old now?
Yeah, exactly. That seems like only yesterday that we built that building, but it's been a few years, and what a great improvement to the fair that was. And we hated to see the old building come down, but it just gets to a point sometimes where you have to replace a building, and unfortunately that was one of the buildings that needed to go. And but there was a lot of nostalgia there with that building. It goes back to a long time, and there was a history behind it, so it was sad to see it go, but yet it needed to be done.
Sometimes change is good, even though I don't find myself saying that quite as often after I've gotten older either.
That's right. That's right. But change is good, and we just have to adapt to the changes and realize that that's what we need to go on. And speaking of change, you just keep looking for the next generation to take over for what you're doing, and so that change has to happen, because that's how we keep everybody involved. And that's good to see. It's good to see when the younger generation becomes interested in agriculture and in farming and in all the groups that they participate in. And we need that, and so it's a good thing that it goes on.
Yep, and younger Fair Board members too bring new ideas and new enthusiasm. Let's face it, the younger generation looks at things a little bit differently and what's fun for their generation, so it's nice to have that input to get new things at the fair.
That's exactly so, and you know, you have to find that balance between new and old, and preserving the old, and welcoming the new.
$8.07, June 60 higher at $77.65. Crude oil's firm. John Perkins, Brownfield.
The market update was sponsored by the KDHL Agro Boosters. They include Bart Jackson Insurance Agency in downtown Faribault, where Bart is happy to customize the right insurance coverage for you, specializing in farms and businesses. My guest in the program today is John Dvorak, who's the manager of the Rice County Fair with our monthly Fair Talk program. Well, John, we were talking before the market break about we are really fortunate here in Rice County that we have so many nice buildings and such a nice fairgrounds. And all county fairs are special. Some have a little nicer facilities than others, I guess.
Yeah, some are older than others, some are older than ours, and you know, it's I think it's not just the Rice County Fair that takes care of buildings, but I think if you go around the state, I think you're going to find that there's a lot of county fairs that you know how important it is to have these buildings be part of their fair, and they take care of them, and you know, that's something that needs to be done, and it happens pretty much on a regular basis.
And it was really nice over the last few years to see so many of those permanent food stands get rebuilt and redone and get a fresh look.
That's right. You know, the time comes that you need to update, and you know, with all the different regulations that come on and how food has to be prepared in these buildings, you know, that's something that some of these stands needed to do just to keep up with the regulations coming down from the health department, and it's a good thing to see, because I think people can get a sense of, you know, comfort, and that they know that these buildings are run right and that they're safe, and you know, I think it's just a positive image for the fair.
Last month, 2 months ago, when you and I were visiting, you mentioned, and I didn't know this before, how many of the local county fairs work together on getting different acts. Say, for example, someone is coming from a long way away, you can get a special rate or cost if they can come up here and they can hit the Rice County Fair this week, and the week before another county fair, so they can come up here and maybe spend 3 or 4 weeks up here.
That's right, and you know, that was kind of a luxury that some of the fairs have, and it kind of helps the bottom line. You know, you can line these individuals up. You know, one of the longest shows that we had coming here that we shared with other counties was the Mitchell Marionettes, and unfortunately this year they're not going to travel, so Mr. Hansen, he ran into a problem with his hip, and they're going to take the year off, and hopefully it can heal up for him, so that they're going to be missed this year. And not only were they a fun act, but you know, develop a personal bond with them, and you know, they're just like your best friends, and so you know, they're going to be missed during the fair, and I'm going to miss them, because you always look forward to seeing one another. Kind of like a one-time-a-year reunion, and you won't see that, so they'll be missed, but you know, we'll find something to take their place, and you know, the show must go on, and the show does go on, and you know, a lot of times you want to get this act or that act, and they might be busy or they're booked someplace else, so you just have to have some alternative choices, and it all works out. You know, at the end of the day, it all comes together.
And technology does make it a lot easier finding out what different acts are out there and what their schedule is than the olden day, I guess, when you got on the phone on the hard line and had to call or send letters.
That's exactly right. You know, the internet and Facebook, and you know, we're always getting, man, I tell you, I probably get 10 or 12 emails a day of different acts at times, you know, that would like to come to the fair, and unfortunately ones that you want might be booked, or some of them are just way out of your price budget to have them come to a county fair. So but you know, we try to pick out a happy medium and something that's going to be affordable and yet entertaining.
One of my favorite parts of the fair is the free entertainment at the stages. I mean, it's amazing that all that free entertainment can be going on. And you know, if you're sitting there, you run into a neighbor and you're visiting, and then you've got the band or something performing in the background, that gives it the atmosphere of a county fair.
I agree with you, Jerry, because I think that's important, and so I do try to have every day in the afternoon, something going on the two different stages, our cylinder stage and our cannon stage, across from the office. And you're right, you might have only at times 1 or 2 people sitting there. You might have 10 or 12. Grandparents come to the fair, or mom and dad come to the fair, and the kids want to run around, and mom and dad or grandpa and grandma or somebody that's watching them wants to just sit and enjoy themselves, and so they can sit under the sunscreen and enjoy some music and get rested up and
have some fair food.
And have some fair food. That's exactly right. And then go walk around the rest of the fair. And so, yeah, I agree with you, Jerry. I think it's really important that we keep that free entertainment going, and it's an expense to the fair, but it's just something that you have to do, I feel, to make it a pleasant experience for everybody that comes to the fair.
So you still might be booking different acts or different shows, different things to come in, but like the big events like the grandstand and some of the major things there, they were booked probably a long time ago.
You're right. A lot of them.
Could you say that again? I don't hear it very often, Jerry.
Jerry, you're right. Okay, here we go. But no, you're right, Jerry. You have to, because you have to start marketing them, and you have to have it set in stone. A lot of people, they expect to see what you have there. Our demolition derby. Yeah. That's a popular event, and people look forward to that every year. So that's almost a given that we'll have the demolition derby. The truck and tractor pull, that's a big.
I'll go on strike if you cancel that.
That's what I've been told. So that's individuals look forward to that. One thing that I'm trying to get growing is our rodeo that we had last year. We're going to have the rodeo back again.
Oh, it
this
is.
year.
That was a big time.
Yes.
Big time rodeo.
That was, and it was very enjoyable. I think everybody that went there come away with a positive feeling. There's some bugs we got to work out of a few things, but all in all, it worked out real well, and it's a great, and that's something that I would really like to continue growing. So that would be another event that people look forward to during the Rice County Fair, is to have the PRCA and Barnes Rodeo being able to come and watch it. It's kind of interesting, I think. A lot of times if you're watching, especially this time of the year when the championship are going on, it's Barnes Rodeo that's very involved. Either they have their cattle there, or they have their chutes there, and so it's kind of nice to be able to bring that type of atmosphere to the Rice County Fair.
So let's go over the schedule then of the grandstand lineup. Start with, there isn't a grandstand event on Tuesday night.
We don't have a grandstand event
because
on
we
Tuesday.
have the Queen Coronation.
Correct,
and everything
correct.
going on in the cylinder stage.
Correct. And on Wednesday night again, we're going to bring back our mega jump event. If you remember last year, it was the individuals that came with their bicycles and set up the ramps. And
oh, that's right. We got rained out, so they dried off the track. And your crew at the fair, they had blow torches. Yeah. Drying out the pavement, and they offered to dry off my wet backside because we just got
it was, and that was a great event that we had, and I still get comments on that event today as I meet different people. Is like, I was really glad that you were able to put that mega jump show on, because it was a great show. It really made that Wednesday night, and it did. And it was.
And talking about improvising, because you couldn't do it in front of the grandstand, took the parking lot, dried off the asphalt so it was safe for them. Bunch of the benches from under the cylinder stage set up there, and they were all full of people watching.
That's right. It turned out better than a guy could have hoped for, and so this year they're coming back again. We are going to schedule them into the grandstand again. I'm hoping that the weather cooperates with us this year, and I think it's going to be an enjoyable event. Thursday night we have our
all I have to say about those guys doing those things on their bikes, that's for the younger crowd.
I guarantee you these old bones, I really don't think that they would survive that, because I guarantee you there would be a spill there if I did it. A big spill.
So that's Wednesday night then, is the bike.
Right. Thursday night we'll have our enduro races. That's a popular event that we've had at the fair for many years. Jeff Nelson comes over with his crew and with Southern Minnesota Promotions, and they put on a great show. It's as close as we can get to car racing here at Rice County. People come out and enjoy it, and I think that's a great event to have. Then, you know, Friday night, we'll put our PRC rodeo on again. The Barnes Rodeo will be here. Saturday night, our truck and tractor pull, the NTPA truck and tractor pull. Then Sunday afternoon, not Sunday night, but Sunday afternoon, will be our demolition derby, and you know, then it's back to square one, planning for next year.
Yeah, because a number of years ago you moved it from like Sunday evening to like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So we did that for a number of reasons. We made it so we could get people to enjoy the fair a little bit after the performance was on. It kind of helped with, you know, the grandstand was already taking place, the event in the grandstand, when all the animals and all the exhibits were leaving the building. So, you know, just the timing and the coordination of different times worked out well that way. And that way, I think more people are more apt to come in the afternoon than they are in the evening. They can get home a little bit earlier at night.
Because some of us have to get up and go to work that next Monday morning.
And so it worked out real well, and it's been working out well, and we'll continue to do that. And it's a great show, and people have a lot of fun attending it. The drivers have a lot of fun being in there, and you know, it works out well for the fair.
You mentioned kids earlier. When kids and county fairs, I think of 4-H. And I also think of rides.
That's right. You know,
I assume Gold Star will be back.
Gold Star Amusement will be back. You know, we've already talked and we've met, and so we have. They'll be back again this year. What a great show they put on. You know, I mean, so clean cut and very polite to be around, and you know, they're just a great outfit to work with. They're local. They're out of Faribault now. So their seasons.
Yeah, they're probably going already down south.
They are. If they're not going, they'll be going next week. But they go down south and they start in Louisiana. They have a lot of church festivals that they run in Louisiana, and then they just start making their way from the south back to the north. And come June, they'll be back up here in Minnesota.
Wow. And then it's amazing when you see all the people that work there. They all have their nice clean shirts on that you recognize them with the carnival, and they have their benches and they set out their flowers. And, oh.
And you know, they've been in it long enough, and they know what people expect, and they deliver what people want, and you know, they can come out and enjoy the fair and have a good time, carnival wise, and they know that the rides are going to be safe, and they're well managed, and they're well taken care of, and we're just fortunate that we can have these come back year after year.
I'm just always amazed at how here's this big ride, and come Sunday night when they shut down, somehow or another it can be all taken down and packed up onto a semi to go down the road to set it all back up again, and making sure that everything is done right.
That's right. You know, it's I guess for them it's no different than you running down the field with your combine or your planter. You know, it takes
do a little maintenance beforehand
on it,
and checking.
They do a lot of maintenance and do a lot more expecting, but that's just part of their business, and that's their world, and they know what they have to do to make it work, and they do it, and they do it very well.
And they reinvest into the business, because it seems like every year there's 1 or 2 new rides or something that's a little different.
Something that's a little different, yes.
And I don't have any idea on what those rides cost, but I bet some of them might rival a great big new combine.
I think it'd take a little bit more than that combine to pay for some of them rides, but you know, that's their business, and I know, you know, if they don't own the ride, they have opportunities to rent different rides from different people. So, you know, they know what they have to do to keep people entertained and what people are going to like, and they know that they have to mix things up, and they do very well at it. You know, Rice County Fair isn't the only fair that Gold Star is at. You know, a lot of the surrounding fairs around us, Gold Star now plays their fairs, so It's not like there's some fly-by-night company that just comes up for the Rice County Fair. You know, they're here to stay, and they're doing a good job of it.
We should probably mention a little bit too about some of the planning that goes into the safety, keeping everybody safe, whether it's with the sheriff's department and their mobile command with the radars and the weather that can always throw you a curveball. And
Yeah.
it'll be pretty scary if fair's loaded with people and all at once you see in 2 or 3 hours maybe a very severe thunderstorm might be rolling in.
Well, and you know, we experienced that last year on Wednesday afternoon with that thunderstorm that rolled in. And in fact, Troy and I just talked yesterday. Troy Dunn, the sheriff for Rice County, we just talked yesterday and decided, you know what, we need to have our pre-fair meeting. And so next week, him and I will be meeting, and we'll be going over
Policies and
procedures and all what needs to go on. And you know, it was like clockwork last year when that fair rolled in. Troy, he about 45 minutes before it rolled in, he called me and he said, John, he said, we have something big coming in. He says, we're going to have to make some decisions here. And so we did, and we got together and we communicated, and I got the carnival individual involved that I need to deal with.
Yeah, because they were supposed to open earlier and then just made the decision the carnival, we're going to wait till after the storm before the carnival would start running.
So that decision was made about 2:40 that we were going to hold off on the rides, and I think at 2:45 to 2:50 that's when the storm blew in. So can you imagine if we would have ignored it and we would have opened
Somebody's
up?
on the Ferris wheel in a 50-mile-an-hour winds in a thunderstorm.
Exactly. So I know people were heartbroken because the fair didn't start, but you know, that's a prime example of, you know, what needs to be done and what was done, and we made the right call. And not only did we get people off the midway, but we instructed them to go into all the buildings that we felt were safe, that would withstand a storm. And everybody waited out the storm. And I mean, it stormed, if you remember. I mean, it stormed. It wasn't just a little thing that flew over. I mean, it lasted for over an hour.
Well, I have to tell this story. We had a tent, big tent, and so we thought we were safe there, and all at once it started raining and the wind came up, and all at once we were getting wet. We made a beeline for the exhibit building. But you know, we've got a lot of buildings there where people can get into, solid buildings, whether it's one of the livestock barns, the exhibit building, the Gillen building. Lots of permanent structures that are designed to stand or withstand an old-fashioned Minnesota thunderstorm.
Yeah, and that was a hefty storm.
And it went on for a long time, too.
It did, and it was windy, and the rain was blowing. I mean, instead of coming straight down, it was coming down at an angle. And but you know, we had a policy in place, and we had a plan in place, and we used it. It worked well, and you know, so that part was good, and it worked out the way we had planned it. And so you know, safety is our number one concern.
And the other thing that's so nice is, and I think this is back when Jim Herbal was the manager, got more asphalt driveways through the Midway area. So heck, as soon as the rain was done and the storm had passed, people were back out on the Midway, and
that's right.
They weren't walking in mud.
Yeah, we were very fortunate when they did lay that asphalt for us, and you know, I think that helps. Not only does it help when it rains and after it rains, but it also helps during the day when it's windy. There's that much less dirt to blow, and you know, because them rides, they cover up a huge area of that ground, and so there's not a whole lot of space left for walking. And so having that asphalt there is a big advantage for us to, you know, just one more thing to make our fair a better fair.
We only have about 4 minutes left, John, but wanted to mention too, when I'm going home, I drive by the fairgrounds, and it's nice to see the fairgrounds being used more than just the 6-7 days of the Rice County Fair. Lots of activity and things going on out there throughout the year, which is great that that facility is being utilized, or sometimes being rented out to somebody that wants to do something.
That's exactly right. And you know, we do have the fair that's available for other events other than the fair, and you know, if people are ever interested in wanting to rent the fairgrounds, you know, they can get a hold of me. Our number's on the website, and give me a call at the office, and come on out and we'll meet, and we'll work things out. And you're right, we have a beautiful set of grounds there, and you know, we need to use it and utilize it more than just 6 days out of the fair. So
and that in turn generates more revenue for the fair, so you've got more money to bring different free activities into the fair the next year.
That's exactly right. So we try to rent it out as much as we can, and right now all the buildings are full of winter storage. We fill all the buildings during the winter with boats and RVs and
I bet that generates a fair amount of revenue every year that you can put in your budget projections.
Yes, it does, and so it all helps. And we call it a free fair, and
well, it's not exactly free because many people don't want to walk, so they pay a nominal fee to park their car on the ground.
Yeah, I was going to say, all it costs is to park your vehicle, and entrance to the fair is free. And
I get the pass because I happen to work here, so KDHL gives me a pass. So
no, we're tired of them twisting our arm, but we won't say that.
Yeah, no, we won't say that.
So, but yeah, it's we enjoy it, and my fair board, I got a great board that's passionate about the fair, and we try to put on a great fair every year. And without my fair board,
and lots of volunteers, and the community that supports us, all the businesses that supports us, the fair wouldn't be near what it is. So it's a whole county-wide event, and everybody from the county helps put this fair on. More than just a county-wide, because I see a lot of people from other counties that come over.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, but I mean, it takes everybody, and everybody works hard at it, and there's no one group of people that you can take credit for it. And as much as you want to take credit for it, Jerry, we'll have to spread it around.
Yeah. Well, minute and a half left, but I wanted to mention one of my favorite events, Bryce County Agriculture Hall of Fame, that Wednesday morning. What a great agriculture event. And I think the nominations are still open yet. I'll have to double check with Art Matson, but you can go to the website, get nomination forms, or get a hold of Art Matson.
Yep.
Get someone you think should be in the Bryce County Agriculture Hall of Fame and get them nominated, and we'll recognize them at this Bryce County Fair.
That's right.
How about that? Superior time management. We have 1 minute left.
Boy, we're getting good at this, aren't we?
Well, like my wife says, I'm slow but trainable. Maybe you're slow but trainable too. We got the time down. But boy, I'll be here before you know it. And we should also mention too, stay in tune to what's going on. Go to the Rice County Fair website.
That's right.
Thanks to Tara Langevin.
That's right. Does a great job there, and we're happy to have her. And it's great to be here, Jerry. I appreciate everything that KDHL does to help the fair out, and it's a great partnership, and I enjoy it, and I look forward to our next fair talk.
Yeah, I did hear some rumors too about we're celebrating our 70th year on the air here at KDHL. I did hear a rumor, something about special activities might be going on at the Rice County Fair. Do you know anything about that? I'm kind of way down here on the totem pole.
Well, you're just a little bit higher than me. So.
Oh. Well, we'll have more on that coming up. Yeah. Thanks for coming in, John.
Thank you much.